Anthony Showtime Pettis versus Nate Diaz. That's the fight that a lot of rumors are stirring around the internet about this fight. Nick even went out and said that he heard this fight's going to happen, and this would be a glorious opportunity for Nate Diaz, who barely makes the top 15. He has 3 losses in his last 5 fights, and he came back after about a year off and fought Michael Johnson. And the betting people had Nate Diaz as a huge underdog. I personally wanted to go to Vegas and bet on it. Michael Johnson was a negative 500 favorite, and I just didn't think that Michael Johnson deserved to be a negative 500 favorite over anyone in the division. Nate Diaz went out to the media conference looking happy, looking good, looking great at the weigh-in, and when the fight finally came down, Nate Diaz was all over him, and he won the fight. He won a unanimous decision, and he came back and he impressed me. Personally, I was impressed, and the opposite's kind of true for Anthony Showtime Pettis, who lost his title to Rafael dos Anjos, a guy who wrecked Nate Diaz, really gave him that year off that we talked about, but came back and fought Eddie Alvarez, and he was pretty much humped in that fight. I don't like to use the word, but that's really what happened. I wasn't too impressed by what Eddie did in that fight. He fought a smart game plan, carried it out, and did everything correctly, and won the fight. So Showtime has 2 losses in a row. One to Eddie Alvarez and one to Rafael dos Anjos. Now, both of these guys do not like to fight wrestlers. It's not part of their style. It's not part of their game plan. They just don't want to go out there and fight wrestlers. So this would be a good opportunity for both fighters to go in there and not face a wrestler. Pettis even lost to Guida a long time ago. So that was proof right there that he has this problem with wrestlers and that it's hard for him to overcome those takedowns. He's easy to take down, and once you get him down, he kind of stays there. While Nate Diaz proved early on that he was just a great submission fighter, and in some of his fights, early on he did some wicked submissions, and a lot of people are kind of wishy-washy as to if they should take Nate down or if they should just fight him standing up. Now, Nate needs a lot of distance. So does Anthony Showtime Pettis. They both need a lot of distance to go out there and fight their kind of fight. I think that both these guys would give each other that distance, and we would see a great fight. We would not see the type of fight that Eddie Alvarez fought when he went in there recently and just humped Showtime. We would see a lot of smack talk. Nate Diaz is fun, and this would be his opportunity to get into the top 15. Now, a lot of people are saying that Showtime shouldn't fight Nate. He should wait, and he's supposed to fight Khabib Nurmagomedov at the end of the year. I don't know, guys. I would love to see this fight. I posted this fight on Facebook, and I received like 250 likes right off my regular Facebook. You know, it's pretty weird. So the fans are out there. I know that they want to see this fight, and I have to make this video because the fans want to see this fight. Now, I want to ask you guys, the fans, who do you think would win? Do you think that Nate Diaz is looking exceptionally great, that his mindset is where it should be, that he seems real happy, and that, you know, he's improving, he's gaining ground at 30 years old? Nate Diaz, with a record of 18-10, is improving, and he's going to go out there and light up Showtime Pettis, hit him everywhere, and just frustrate him, get it to the point where he takes over that fight and fight a Nate Diaz style type of fight? Or do you think Showtime is going to go in there and show off his style, his grace, his athleticism, and the moves that we just fell in love with? Nobody moves like Showtime. I got to go with Nate Diaz here. I think that Eddie Alvarez proved that Showtime is beatable, and that Nate, at this point in his career, will go out there and defeat Showtime because he's in a better place in his life.